Okay, so I'm just gonna hit record and we're gonna do this. So I'm kind of annoyed and frustrated because of this team. Oh man. You know, when you look at the bigger picture, I'm starting to have some concerns with how this team is playing lately. Because 2 games ago they lost against the Kings, right? They're not allowed to beat the Kings, we know this. And then the last game against Vegas, they did end up winning, but only because Allmark stole that one. He was the main reason they won that one, right? And then tonight, you got your captain returning, which should be a major boost to the team, and it looked great for the first 2 periods, but then the third period, oh, that third period was it was awful tonight. So yeah, it's tonight kind of felt like the last game a little bit. The only difference was the shots tonight were going in compared to last time nothing was going in. So that's what I mean, man. If Allmark didn't steal that last one, then we could be looking at a 3-game losing streak. So this is this might be the most annoyed I've been after a loss so far this season. And I feel like you're going to see this more and more if you watch these videos. As we get deeper into the season, you're going to start to see some more emotion come out of me. Um, this one's annoying because you're playing against a bottom team, the St. Louis Blues, who have been struggling. You got your captain back for the first time in a month. It's his hometown. And you end up losing. It's kind of ironic. Like the team played great when he was out, and then he comes back and they lose. I'm not saying it's Kachuk's fault they lost tonight. It wasn't. But that third period was it was awful. Like, I don't even know where to begin with it. So, Friday, November 28th, the Sens played their 24th game of the season against the St. Louis Blues. Very, very bizarre start time. 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern start time. Really weird. There are like, I think 7 games that start at 4 o'clock today, so I don't know what's up with that. A lot of weird start times today. So this was the 5th game of a 7-game road trip. It's the first meeting of the season between these two teams. So it was Levi Merilainen in net for the Sens, and I get why they would start Merilainen against a weaker opponent, right? So makes sense. Then you've got Dallas coming up in the next game, so you want to start Allmark in that one, I would assume. It didn't go well tonight, did it? So it was Jordan Binnington and net for the Blues. The Sens were 12-7-4 coming into this game, and the Blues were 7-10-7 coming into this game. 3-5-4 at home. Like, going up against a team that has won a quarter of their home games, and you fall short. Oh man. So of course, as mentioned, Brady Tkachuk, the captain, does return tonight, and it's annoying, man. Like you're going against one of the bottom teams. Kachuk, it's his home team, or his hometown team, I should say, and you end up losing to one of the worst teams in the league. All right, so let's go ahead and break down tonight's game. Let's get into the stats. So the St. Louis Blues end up defeating the Sens by a score of 4-3 in regulation. Sens fall to 12-8-4, and the Blues are 8-10-7. A lot of overtime losses there, and I'm just annoyed, man. This is just one of these games that you have to win. I feel like just a weaker team. Your captain is back for the first time in a month, and you don't get it done. So yeah, I'm annoyed. Anyways, going into the stats here, shots were 31 to 28 in favor of St. Louis. It felt way worse than that. I thought the Blues had way more shots. Face-offs were even, 50%, half and half. Power plays, 0 for 1 for the Sens, 0 for 3 for the Blues, so I guess there's a positive. The penalty kill was perfect tonight for the Sens. Penalty minutes were 10 to 6 in favor of the Blues, having the fewest. I'm actually looking at the stats right now because they tend to update stats a lot after games are complete. Looking at it right now, apparently the Sens actually have 51.9% of the face-offs. So there you go. So I'll try to refer to the stats on the NHL site as I'm doing this because they tend to update stuff a lot later on. That's what I've noticed. So penalty minutes 10 to 6. Hits were 20 to 17 in favor of the Sens. block shots 17 to 15 in favor of the Sens. Giveaways 21 to 15 with the Sens having the fewest. And I had to do a double take on this one. Takeaways 7 to nothing for the Sens. 0 takeaways for the Blues. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that, at least in a Sens game this season. So that's crazy. But yeah, so again, I'm annoyed. These two teams will meet very soon, actually, December 6th, which is that's next week, is it not? Yes, it is next Saturday. So that's probably a good thing because I'm sure the Sens will be looking for some revenge. It's going to be in Ottawa, of course. So yeah, these two teams will see each other again very soon, in about a week. I know, I keep saying it. I'm annoyed, but let's go ahead and go into my notes here. And like I mentioned at the start, the first two periods were pretty decent, but then the third period, everything just fell apart completely. So 20 seconds into the game, Shen gets a breakaway. It didn't look good in the first 30 seconds, but Shen actually does not get a shot off on this breakaway. He actually slides it wide. So Clevin would have a block shot with his hand, and he would go to the dressing room, but he would return later on, so that's good to see. There was a bizarre bounce off the glass, and the puck would come very close to going in the net with Binnington. So Binnington came out to play the puck, but the puck took a weird bounce off the glass, and this puck almost goes into the net. But I'm thinking, like, no, the Sens don't get bounces like that. But it was close. It hit like the outside of the post, but it did stay out. So Fowler would trip Stützle, and Stützle would also get called for embellishment here, which, okay, I mean, I guess it kind of was. So we would play 4-on-4 for a little bit, and then shortly after that 4-on-4, Batherson will get called for hooking. So the Blues go to the power play. There were no power play goals tonight. So the Blues would get a couple of good looks on the power play, but they would not score. And this is a pretty low shooting game to this point, with 7:50 remaining in the first period. The shots are just 4 to 3 in favor of St. Louis, and I was okay with it because low shooting, low event, you're on the road, you're taking the crowd out of it. I like that. I like to see that from the road team. And it's very tight checking, not a ton of chances for either team early on. St. Louis would get a couple of great looks in the final minute, but they were both stopped by Marilainen. And the shots after the first period end up being 7 to 5 for St. Louis. So again, pretty low shooting, pretty low event. We do finish the first period scoreless, which again I was kind of okay with because there's just not a whole lot going on, which I think usually does favor the road team. So we roll into the second period, and St. Louis would take a cross-checking penalty. There was a scrum, and it led to some punches being thrown after the whistle, and it would lead to offsetting minors for both teams. And the Sens would still end up getting a power play out of this mess. And on this power play, they were just a little bit too passive, not shooting when they should. And we see this a lot from every team nowadays, just looking for that perfect play, just overthinking whatever it is. So they don't score on the power play. And shortly after that, Zetterlund would have a wide open net, but he was kind of falling as he had the wide open net, so he ends up slotting it wide, but that was a good chance there for him. And then right after that, Tkachuk tried to bank it in off Binnington, and he just missed that. You could hear him yelling after that, but he almost had that. He was close. And speaking of bank shots, well, funny enough, not too long after that, a shot from St. Louis would go wide, and the puck would go to Sundqvist, and he would bank it in off Marilainen for the 1-0 lead. So it's like, anything you can do, I can do better, right? So yeah, the Blues go up 1-0. So Sundqvist scores at the 7:59 mark of the second period from Matthew Joseph and Nathan Walker with the assist there. And the Blues go up 1-0. So it's like, well, it's not good, obviously. And the Sens got to shoot, man. Like that, they have nothing going on. They have 9 shots halfway through the game. That's just not good enough. It's not. And as I say that, I literally put this in my notes. I said they need to shoot more, and apparently ask and you shall receive, because they do start shooting more. So the Sens would gain the zone, a shot would go wide, and the second shot was stopped, and then Pinto would score uh, on the rebound. So Shane Pinto would score his 12th of the season at the 10-11 mark of the second period. Matt Paulo and Amadio drawing the assist there, and that would tie the game at 1. So that's a very good response by the Sens. So they tie the game about a little over 2 minutes after the Blues take the lead. So that's a good response by the Sens. And then this team, man, I'm telling you, it's like they'll do something that makes you happy. It's like they'll score a goal or they'll whatever, kill off a penalty, and then they'll do something that'll make you upset immediately after. And they do it so often. This team drives me nuts sometimes, and it happened again today. So, shortly after that goal, Hodgson would take an interference penalty. It's like, come on, man. Why? Now, they would kill this off. Again, there were no power play goals tonight. So then, this play right here looked really stupid. So, Binnington would get the puck in his end. He would make an outlet pass, and this leads to a breakaway. This was almost a 3-on-0 for the Blues. I don't know what happened here. Terrible change. I don't know. But that was almost a 3-on-0. And they actually don't even get a shot out of this somehow. So there was a pass that would go to a Blues player in the slot. I didn't put down who it was. It would deflect off their stick, and this would nearly slide between the pads of Maryland. It just barely stayed out. So even though they don't really get a shot there, they still almost score. But just, guys, what are we doing here? Like, oh man. So Stützle would end up getting called for holding, and the Sens would end up killing that off. This was a strong kill. Getting that puck out. If you have a chance to clear it on the penalty kill, just get it out all the way down the ice. That's what you gotta do. And that was a strong kill. The penalty kill, again, if you're looking for a positive tonight, they were 3 for 3, so there is that. So Zetterlund would have the puck behind the net, and he would fake like he's going one way, like he's going far side, but then he ends up wrapping it around short side, and he would score. So Zetterlund scoring again, his third goal in the last 4 games. So he's finally heating up, which is very good to see. So Zetterlund would score at the 18:26 mark of the second period. Sanderson drawing another assist there, and Tkachuk also getting an assist in his return. And that would give the Sens a 2-1 lead. So that's a big goal, right? So then the Blues would have a good chance late in the period, but that was stopped. So the shots in the second period end up being 11-9 for St. Louis. And we go to the second intermission, and the Sens are up 2-1. So feeling pretty good here. Not bad, not great, because it's close, right? Still pretty even, but feeling pretty good. We got the lead, right, going into the third period, so we're looking good, right? Oh, but does that ever change in a hurry? So we roll into the third period, and the Sens, you can see it immediately. This team is sitting back. They're sitting back right away at the start of the third period, right? So it's just not looking good already. So there was a pass to Kyrou in the slot, and he would walk in, and he would backhand it and score. Just like that. We are 2 minutes and 1 second into the third period, to be exact. So Kyrou would score from Neighbors and Thomas, and that would tie the game at 2. And it's just the Sens, I don't know, again, it looked a lot like the last game against Vegas, and I put this somewhere in my notes. I do see it actually. It just felt a lot like the last game in Vegas, because the Sens did nothing in the third period against Vegas, and it was kind of the same thing tonight. So there was an odd man rush for St. Louis, but that was stopped, and the Blues they're all over them at this point, and here it is right here. It's starting to look like the last game against Vegas, very, very similar. So the shots are 5-0 for St. Louis. We're just 4 minutes into the third period, and the Blues have the first 5 shots of the period. It's just not looking good, right? So the Blues would get a 2-on-1, and they would score. Yep. So we are, what, about 5.5 minutes in. You've got the Cairo goal, you got an odd man rush, and now you got a 2-on-1, all within the span of about 5 minutes, right? So that's good. Again, reminder, this is one of the bottom teams in the league. So yeah, the Blues would go up 3-2. They score at the 5:33 mark. This one was scored by Buchnevich from Shen and Broberg, and the Blues go up 3-2, and it's not looking great at this point. So the Sens would dump it in, and then Parayko misplays the puck here. Really, really bad giveaway on him on this play. So he was in the corner, he just misplays it. It goes right in front of the net to Perron, and Perron would score. Like, you want to talk about a break at something that the Sens needed? That was it right there. It didn't really end up helping them in the long run, but yeah, Parayko turns it over to Perron, and he would score at the 7:31 mark of the third period. That goal was unassisted, and Perron's third goal of the season. Also, don't know if I mentioned it, but the Zetterlund goal, that was his fourth of the season. So, they get that, and I'm like, wow, okay, they got a break. We're tied. Game's tied up again, right? We're tied at 3. The third period was kind of nuts. So, the Sens would end up hitting a goal post shortly after that. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're going to start gaining some momentum. You know how a goal can go straight to your legs sometimes, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe we're going to start gaining some momentum here. No, no. I've learned, I've been watching this team long enough, never get your hopes up too much with them, because guess what happens? The Blues get a flurry of chances, and then they would score again. This was chaos. There were chances everywhere. I couldn't even keep track of everything. But the Blues would score again. So Matthew Kessel scoring this one at the 9:19 mark of the third. Holloway and Suter drawing the assist there. So that's did Holloway have another? Never mind. I thought Holloway had 2 points, but yeah. So that would put the Blues up 4-3. Of course, that ends up being your final, and they're hanging Marilainen out to dry at this point. There's odd man rushes. There's these point blank chances, and again, it just felt like the last game against Vegas, right? The only difference between that game and this one was tonight the shots were going in. The last game they were not, because Allmark was stopping all of them. So this is what I mean. Like, this team could easily be on a 3-game losing streak right now. But again, Allmark stole that last one, but that was not the case tonight. Obviously, you don't blame Marilainen. I don't blame him, because like these chances they were giving up, it's like, good lord. And he made some big saves, so can't blame him for this one. So the Sens would end up getting it to the net. There was a scramble play, but it stayed out. Sens would pull Marilainen, and they would press. They would get some pretty good looks, but I put this in my notes. They did start to come on, but it's too little, too late, right? It's just there's like less than 2 minutes left, and it's like, well, now they're gonna start playing, and now they're gonna start, pressing. It was just too late, in my opinion, and it kind of proves it when you look at the score. So the shots in the third period, 14-13 in favor of the Sens. So a lot of shots in the third period there. So yeah, 4-3 ends up being your final. And again, I'm still annoyed. Like, it's just, you gotta win this one, man. You have to, but you didn't. So looking at the 3 stars of the game, it's showing the names, but it's not showing their stats. Why is that? Let me go ahead and refresh it. Maybe it'll... Ah, yes, here we go. Okay, so the first star of the game was Buchnevich. He had a goal. Assuming he had the game winner. No, he didn't, actually. Kessel had the game winner. Okay, well, anyways. Second star of the game was Shen. He had 1 assist. And third star of the game was Pinto, who had 1 goal. And there you go. There is that. So let's go ahead and go into the box score here. So our point getters for forwards, we got Tkachuk in his return getting an assist. Amadio also had an assist. We got Pinto, Zetterlund, and Perron with the goals. And on the defense, Matt and Paulo and Sanderson with an assist. Plus minus. No defenseman was no defenseman was a plus tonight. Zub and Sanderson were -1. And then for the forwards, Pinto and Amadio were +2 actually. Giroux was +1. And then Stutzel was -3 apparently. And then Batherson and Nick Cousins were -2. Some bizarre plus minuses tonight. Wow. Time on ice 21-24 for Stützle. That led forwards. And time on ice, of course, Sanderson leading the defenseman once again with 27-18. And shots leading the defenseman was Matt and Paulo with 2. And then the shots, to no surprise, Tkachuk had the most shots with 8. 8 shots tonight, so we know what we're gonna get with him, right? A lot of shots, a lot of hitting, a lot of very, very active, shall we say. And then block shots, we have 6 players with 1. 6 forwards, I should say. So Batherson, Zetterlund, Amadio, Dylan Cousins, Giroux, and Perron all with 1. And then Sanderson had 5 block shots, so that's good to see. And then for hits, Zub and Spence had the only 2 hits for defensemen with 1 each. And then leading forwards and hits was Dylan Cousins with 5. And then if we look at Marilanen's numbers, I know he's not going to have a good save percentage. So he does stop 27 out of 31 for an .871 save percentage. But man, oh man, like you look at the chances, especially in that third period, like they were just giving up odd man rushes and point blank chances. It's like, what are you supposed to do on some of these, right? So I don't blame Marilanen for any of the goals. If it wasn't for him, this score could have been worse, arguably. So, yeah, this one is very frustrating, needless to say. Again, it's one you gotta win, in my opinion, because, like, your captain comes back for the first time in over a month. He's coming back to play in his hometown, and they look good for the first 2 periods, but then that third period, they just kind of forgot what defense was, so... Yeah, this is a rough one for sure. So the Sens are currently sitting 3rd in the Atlantic Division with the 12-8-4 record, and they are now 6-5-2 on the road. So yeah, winning 6 out of 14 road games is not great. Or I guess that's 13 road games. I can do math. 13, still less than half. 6-3-1 in their last 10 now. So, yeah, it's at the end of the day, they are still 3-2 on this road trip, and there are 2 games left on this road trip, and we'll see how it goes, right? The next 2 opponents are not going to be easy, and speaking of, their next game will be in Dallas against the Stars. We all know what they're about. They're a very stacked team. So that game will be on Sunday, November 30th at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern, so a bit of a different start time there again. And Dallas, well, let's go ahead and look at their record. Yeah, they are 15-5-4, so yeah, they've been playing pretty well. Now, they have a much better road record, so they're 6-4-1 at home, so it's not super amazing, but on the road they're 9-1-3. 8-1-1 their last 10. So the Central Division, by the way, the top 3 looks insane when you look at it. But that's a story for another video. So yeah, this one sucks. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. And again, you're gonna see more frustration as we get deeper into the season. And if the Sens lose games like this to bottom teams, expect to see more frustration from me because it's definitely it's there. It's definitely there with this one. But what are you gonna do, right? It's a league where anybody can beat anybody. Never take anyone lightly. So yeah, the Sens end up losing by a score of 4-3 in regulation to the Blues, and they'll be looking to bounce back on Sunday in Dallas. But I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, And go Sens go.